All right, here he is, the small good boy. It is Core Class Snarl from Transformers Legacy Evolution, I believe. The last of the 6 core Dinobots they're releasing in the line that we know of. Maybe they'll create some more. But yeah, rumors that the set will come out as Dino King. There's some details here that may indicate some additional pieces with that set. I don't know. We'll see. I haven't heard any official announcements. That's been the rumor for a while. So yeah, fingers crossed. We'll see if it happens. But right now, we're just focusing on this good little boy right here. It's Snarl. And you can see he does store his little sword underneath. He does come with a sword, which is nice, underneath his body. His fists don't fold away. I do wish they could have made a fist fold in, but whatever. They just kind of sit there on the back of his legs. He is a little stumpy. His face sits a little low to the ground. Like it's just a barely bit of a little clearance. It may even be scraping a little bit, but there's no paint under there to worry about. So not the end of the world, but kind of a hunch boy. Got a fat but tiny tail. And the leader class had a shortish tail as well, but the way it was kind of angled and fit, it made it look like it was, pretend it was longer. He's got a little stubby little tail there. But yeah. There he is, got a big Autobot symbol on his head. Thankfully, it matches up. I know some people who got the leader class had some symbols that didn't quite match up properly. But yeah, there he is. He doesn't have any... These are pegged onto the side, so aside from this right here, there's really no articulation here in Dino mode. His mouth doesn't open. You can just move his arm where it's not supposed to, because it's supposed to just stay flat to be his rear leg. So yeah. Here he is with the spare Grimlock that I had, side by side, just to give you an idea of comparison of where he is in Dino mode. His transformation is not super difficult. We'll go ahead and pop the sword out there. There's just a little peg hole here, and what becomes his, I guess, kind of his abs in robot mode right there. There's also a peg hole up here, but that's for combined mode, which we'll get to. But yeah, unpeg the arms here from the side and flip them down. Take this, and the first time when you get him, the way the legs fold up, once you get him like open like that, you want to come back here and fold the legs in. But the first time when you're trying to fold this down, like there's right about here is where it meets resistance, and it almost feels like you're going to break it the first time you do it. Once you realize there's a little nub here on this piece that you kind of got to push past. I feel like that's something that could wear down over time with multiple transformations, but just be aware the first time you do that, that's a little scary, and be careful. But you do have to push it a little further than you're expecting to. Then it feels like it should move when you're transforming it. But bring his legs down, fold his head inside there like that. Then the tail piece splits out to the side, and then you turn his head around. You can kind of close it, but he's got a little crest on the front of his head that if you don't turn it around, it's going to get mushed by the tail. Well, actually, no, I guess it does fit in there. So I guess you don't have to turn his head around. Really, I've been turning it around, and that little head crest always sticks up in this little gap back here, so I just assumed you needed to do it. It does look like there is a clearance if you're looking in the halfway. You could leave his face forward, but then he is kind of staring out of his butt. So I guess you do want to turn it around. For aesthetic purposes, if nothing else. But he stands up, he's got his tail to the side of his head. Looks like Snarl. Give him his little sword. And there he is in robot mode. He does have a head swivel side to side, ball joints at the shoulders, hinge at the elbows. He does have a waist swivel, which is nice. Ball joints at the hip, and then hinge knees. You can also tilt these a little bit, but it's not really a meaningful articulation for robot mode. And again, with spare Grimlock, here he is, side by side. Actually, a little taller than Grimlock. Well, no. Actually, yeah, close enough to even. Maybe he is a smidge taller at the tip of his helmet. I'm looking at it from a slightly above angle over the camera, so I can't 100% judge if I get down there. But it's close enough not to worry about it. Close enough to the same height. But just to give you an idea of those two together, and then here, just for funsies, here's a comparison of him with the leader class version, who, as you can see, is much larger. Come on, let's lock this camera back into place so we're not... There we go, good enough. Just don't want it dripping, or dropping, or drooping. And then from here, take the sword off. We're going to put the legs... We're not going to fold them all the way up. Well, like that. The arms... Actually, the arms come back this way. The arms fold in on hinges. And you want to rotate them so you want them to come together. There's a tab here and a tab here, and then these little tabs are going to peg into the waist here. So come here like this, bring the arms together, rotate them on the joint so they're pegged together like that. And these just kind of line up next to each other. We want to line them up next to each other so they peg in, and they actually snap in right here. You can kind of see where they're going in, and then they snap into place. You can hear them snap. And that will lock the arms in place. Turn the head around. Close the tail up. Then you pop this plate off. These come up like this, and these little tabs are going to peg in. Like where the plate on his back was pegged in right here. With the plate, once the plate's off, you want to flip the peg up. Then fold this in, peg them in like that. And then here on the front, there you can see there's two little peg holes, and or two little pegs. And then right here, you're going to... I don't know. Wonder what those peg holes are for. Actually, now that I think about it. Anyway, these pegs right here go into the two holes inside this plate, and that forms his other foot. The sword can peg in right here. And honestly, if you don't like the vibrant red of this single foot, actually, let's go ahead and attach him to the combiner here. He just pegs in to the leg just like that. Oh, we knocked his fist off. There we go. Reattach the fist here. And there's the combined Volcanicus with all the proper legs and not the spare Grimlock. And it's a decent little small Volcanicus. It's not perfect. You know, there's definitely some compromises to get three... Come on, camera. To get 3 modes out of toys this small. Which is, you know, it's expected, I gotta say. Could have been done better? Maybe. But I think they did a pretty decent job to get a small 6 Dinobot combiner at this size. Like I said, the red here on Snarl does kind of stand out. You know, there's some red peeking through here. There's some red detailing on Swoop. Dinobots are gray and gold and red, and you know, some red back here. Maybe they could have put a little bit more on Scar, I think, to help balance it out, especially since he's a new character and there's no expectations for what his color scheme could be, or should be. But yeah, a little bit more red. Maybe red horns on Slug. Would be nice. Just to get some more red across it. But if you really don't like the red, you can keep the sword plugged in right here, which is officially where it goes, and that adds a little bit more gray to the foot. There's still a lot more red down here than anywhere else on the figure, but it does kind of add a little bit more gray, make it look more like red detailing on the sides versus just all over the place. It doesn't alleviate the issue, but it's something you can do. That said, there's a small peg for Snarl to hold it, but then the rest of the handle is a larger 5mm peg, so you can give him, like, he doesn't have a whole sword, but if you want to give Volcanicus a little dagger to run up and shiv some people, you can do that. Personally, I just feel like it's a little bit more secure having him hold it than having it sit right here where the tip's kind of up here and could easily be flung off, especially if you're carrying it around. But, I mean, I think like if you're going to carry it around, you probably don't even want to leave the sword at home. But yeah, there he is, all combined. Will we get a Dino King out of it? I mean, it seems likely. If you look at the positions of where everybody is and the 6 members, I think it's highly likely. And the combination scheme with the 2 forming the torso. So we'll see. I'm very curious to see it. I would love it if they come with shells. They're not going to come with shells as much as I would love it. Because I would really like to get some Pretenders with shells again. And they've had lots of opportunities to make it. They've made a lot of Pretenders. They haven't done the shells yet. So I still really want to get the shells for the Fans Project Dino King. but alas. And again, just real quick for size comparison, here he is with leader class Snarl, or the combined mode with leader class Snarl. Still not leader sized, but again, it's not a perfect combiner. Certainly you can see the compromises made for the size, but it's a neat concept and it's fun. It is fun to play with. You got all 6 Dinobots in one little carry-aroundable, pocketable form, and that's kind of fun. So yeah. Core Class Snarl, that actually is the last Transformer I've had on pre-order. So I think it's kind of it for me at this point. And, you know, if that's the case, Snarl is probably the best one to go out on. He is one of my favorites. He's certainly my favorite of the Dinobots, and one of my favorite Transformers overall. It's not to say I won't be around. Samples will show up. I'm still hoping Fans Hobby sends me all their stuff they got in the pipeline, like the Armada Jetfire and Armada Overload and Tidal Wave, as well as their Neon and Dark Strike, Hydra and Darkwing, to go with Buster and Dreadwind that I've got. And like I said, the animated Prime and Bumblebee look cool. I may pick those up next year when they hit. There's rumors that there's going to be Tigerhawk and Silverbolt. Those would definitely get added to the collection, and I'll consider putting videos up for those. But yeah, that's kind of it for me. Thanks to everybody who watched all these years, and like I said, it's not a complete gone, but like regular content for me is going to be a no-go for a good bit here. So yeah. But anyway, there's Core Class Snarl. He's fun, he's cool, and he completes the robot.